a full in-depth bolt design example for all of you out there using the NDS, using the NDS supplement. We get into everything, including finding your adjustment factors and why certain things apply. Grab a piece of candy and remember to like, subscribe, do all the things that help the channel grow. Without further ado, let's get in there. Two figures here that I've drawn up for us. This is a tension connection. The top figure, you have some dimensions that are critical for our design here today. And then the figure below is kind of a top-down view. If I go right here, if we're looking down at this thing, you can see the sandwiched connection here. So you have two boards that act as like the bread of the sandwich, and they're smushing together the two other boards that are being held together in place for the connection. In blue, I gave your member sizes. So all the wood that we're using today is 2x12s. So both the connecting pieces and the two pieces that are being connected together. From this point on, the pieces that'll be connected together are gonna be called our main members. And then the two pieces of bread of the sandwich, those are our side members. And that's how they're referred to through the NDS from here on out. We have the grade of wood is number 2 Southern Pine. So the number 2 is the grade, Southern Pine is the species. All of the bolts are 1-inch diameter and 5-inch long bolts. Now this design is controlled by construction live load forces. You'll see why that comes into play here. And then we have regular, I'll call it regular, temperature and moisture conditions. So C sub M and C sub T for moisture and temperature, both equal 1.0 today for our example. The question is, what is the ASD capacity of the tension splice? So we're not given forces today and asked to determine if the splice is adequate. We're being asked, well, how much load can this splice handle the way that it's detailed right now? We know that a 2x12 actually equates to 1.5 inches by 11.25 inches. It's not 11.5 inches. So be careful there. As you get to those larger pieces of lumber, it doesn't just shave off a 1/2 inch. So you need to be careful of that. But the next thing we want to do is really find all of our adjustment factors or all of our C factors. We know above that we already know 2 of them are equal to 1.0. But for this bolted connection today, how many others apply? How do we know that? Well, let's jump over to the NDS to figure that out. We find ourselves in chapter 11 and actually table 11.3.1. And this is everything to do with the fasteners and connecting of wood components. And since we have a tension connection here, and we have force pulling these two things apart, that for our bolt connection, our bolts are going to be seeing a shear stress on them. That's what's holding this tensile connection together, is through the shear capacity of the bolts, one of the things that's holding it together. So that means we need to find our Z value, our Z prime, for dowel type fasteners. If you look below, bolts are one of the criteria for a dowel. And there, subsequently, are all of our adjustment factors. C sub M, C sub T, we already know are 1.0. C, E sub G, your end grain factor. This is when you have fasteners that are going into the end grain of your wood member. That we don't. We're going into the side of our member. So that would just be 1.0. I'll do 1.0, 1.0 here. Next, you have a diaphragm factor, C sub DI. We're not working with diaphragms here today, so we don't get to apply that. That's just 1.0. And then another one, C sub TN is your toenail factor. That, there's some great figures further into this thing, but I'm gonna draw another picture here. Say we have 2 pieces of wood like this. We do that. If you have kind of nails going in at angles, that's called toenailing. And there's other reductions that are taken into effect for that type of fastening condition. We don't have that again here today, so that's also 1.0. So that leaves us really, go green here, with just these factors right here. And we know that 2 of them are already solved, so really we're down to just 3 more adjustment factors. Let's go into the code now and find each one of those, and then we'll grab their values. We'll go from there. First up, load duration factor, table 232. It's at the very beginning, basically, of the NDS. And because our question today is to solve the ASD capacity, we need that C sub D factor. If we were solving for LRFD or for strength design, otherwise known as, you wouldn't use C sub D. You have other factors to apply to accommodate your load duration for wood. For us, we know that construction live load controls this design. And if you look here, it's pretty specific, and that's because that, it's a design example. So we're getting familiar. But right here, that leaves us with a C sub D factor of 1.25. So we actually get to bump up our strength a little bit. Next, let's find our C sub G, our group action factor. Now, if you want to start from the beginning, your group action factor can be found in 11.3.6 with this gnarly equation right here. Now, and they do, fair enough, go down and they describe everything that is contained in the equation for you to go and look up and solve. But this group action factor pertains to the load distribution to each one of the screws or fasteners that you have for your connection, because depending on the geometry and the spacing, the number of fasteners, your load distribution to each one of those fasteners changes. It's not just, I have one fastener, so I have 100 pounds of capacity. Now I have 3 fasteners, so now I have 300 pounds of capacity. That is not how it works. The more fasteners you add isn't a linear graph of your capacity increase. We have this going on. We have 2 sandwiched plates that are holding a main member together. And if you go further, instead of having to just solve that equation by hand, you actually have some tables that were put into place that do it for you as long as your parameters match what the table parameters match. It's kind of like the AISC steel manual where they have all the equations in the back, but they have some helpful tables that make things a little more simplistic and a little more quicker to solve as long as you have those standard conditions. For us today, we actually do have that, and it's actually gonna be right here in this table, 11.3.6a. Now, A sub S, we talked about, is our side member, and A sub M is our main member. We didn't solve those, so let's jump back and solve them quickly, and then we'll jump right back to this table. A sub M is our main member, and that is going to be the cross section of just the main member, AM, and we know it's 2 by 12 with the variables up above here. So 1.5 times 11.25 gets us the following: 16.875 inches squared, and then A sub S for our side members, and you need to account for both of them because we have a plate on each side creating our sandwich, is still the same thing. 1.5 times 11.25 times 2, because you have 2 of them, 1 on each side, equals obviously just doubling of the original main member answer of 33.75 inches squared. We have our values, now let's jump back to the NDS. Well, first off, you notice we need to do that. So let's divide them by one another, which just simply, since it's double, equals 0.5. Look at that, we fall right into that category. And now A sub S is just your side member, and that's gonna fall between 12 and 20, somewhere right there. I'll zoom in a little bit. And now number of fasteners in a row, we have 3. Now you might be saying for our condition, well, wait a minute, don't we have 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's only for our connection. So each one of these zones right here is its own connecting part. So yellow and then green. So you don't consider the whole thing one connection, it's 2 connections here. So we have just 1, 2, 3 in a row, and then this is considered a row right here. That puts us right in this zone. And honestly, you can interpolate really finely, but you can ultimately see that it's so close. Your 2 boundaries are 0.96 and 0.98. We'll call it 0.97, call it a day. And then lastly, for C sub delta, we need to do some more steps. So we're gonna move to that part of the NDS, but first let's go write down the things that we already know. All right, we have all that. Let's head over and find C sub delta. This is where we find ourselves in chapter 12.5, and you have your geometric factor. Now, there are some criteria at the very beginning that you're gonna wanna read through to see if you kind of test out of this, if your condition doesn't need to take into account this geometric factor, and or if it does. It is a very important factor, so don't just try to take the lazy way and say, oh, 1.0 and move on. But they do give some criteria that allows you to take 1.0. So read it, it's important, but if you can't, you have to solve. It gets into the spacing of your fasteners in your connection which dictates what your C sub delta is. And they give a bunch of tables for you to grab your values. We need to find a couple of different things to determine if we have a C sub delta of 1.0. This figure does a great job right here. Your end distance, your spacing between bolts in a row, your edge distance, and your spacing between rows of bolts. So we need to make sure we have all those. We have a Z parallel to grain today, but they give these two figures here and here, one parallel to grain, one perpendicular to grain, and things change a little bit. So you need to make sure you understand the orientation of your grain of your connected members. First, end distance requirements, right here in this table. Now, like we said, we are parallel to grain, and we're a tension connection, so boom, boom, and southern pine, which we're doing today, is a softwood. So that's gonna be this right here, which means that in order for us to obtain a C sub delta of 1.0, we need to maintain a spacing for our end distance of 7 times the diameter of the bolts being used. D is the diameter of the bolts. What do we have today? Let's take a look at our condition. Now you might quickly be saying, oh, it's this condition here, which is 7 inches, but that is an end condition for just the side members. But what about the main members? The main members, unfortunately, if we go to the view below, where they're connected together, that is only 4 inches. So that is your controlling scenario for your connection here. So we do not meet the minimums, which means, let's scroll down a little bit more, that we have 4 inches on the main member. So our C delta for this condition is you just take a reduction, a linear reduction based on the spacing you have versus what you need. So we have 4 inches over 7 inches required, which gets us 0.57 for C delta. But let's check the other conditions, because you may have a worser condition happening. And then at the end, you compile all of them, you determine which one's the lowest, and you use that as your factor. Next, let's do spacing between bolts. The very next table, we're parallel to grain loading. And then let's get our maximum spacing in order to maintain 1.0, which would be 4D. So let's bring that back. 4D, which gets us 4 inches. It's nice when you have 1 inch diameter as your bolt. And what do we have above? I would say that we have 4 inches everywhere, because if I go green, remember it's this spacing that we're looking at. It is not the black dimension. That's a different one. So I'll erase that. It is the green dimension, which is our least spacing is 4 inches. We have that, which means we have a 1.0 C sub delta. Now let's do edge distance. We're just moving sequentially through these tables. They're all lined up for you in a row. The very next table, edge distance. Now, you need to find some additional parameters. We have parallel to grain again, and we need this L over D value. And if we go to the footnote right here, L over D ratio used to determine the minimum edge distance shall be the lesser of A and B. And so let's take a look. So length of the fastener in the wood main member, which is L sub M, is your length of main member. Or B, the total length of the fastener in the wood side member, which is denoted as L sub S. S being side, M being main. Well, we'll do this on the fly right here. L sub M is the length of bolt that is in contact through your main member. Our main member is a 2x12, which means that it's 1.5 inches thick. So that 1.5 inches is your L sub M. So 1.5. And then L sub S is the same thing, only you have 2 plates. So that's times 2, which is 3 inches. And we need the lesser of condition A and B. And D is 1 inch for both conditions. So divided by 1 inch, divided by 1 inch gets you 1.5 and gets you 3. So the lesser would be our L sub M over D criteria, which is 1.5. Now we bring that back up. So So we're in the zone of L sub D is less than or equal to 6 inches. From this, our minimum edge distance is 1.5D. Pop this back up to this figure just to make sure that we haven't forgotten. So this is our edge distance now, right here. All right, beautiful. 1.5D, which gets us 1.5 inches. And then our example, we have 3 5/8. I'll go blue and I'll circle it up here, and that's typical. And it's to the center of your fastener. It's not to the edge of your fastener. That is obviously greater than the 1.5 inches. So our C sub delta is 1.0 for that condition as well. Then we have the last one, spacing between the rows. Here we are, the next one, it's getting repetitive. We're parallel to grain, this one's easy. Minimum spacing, boom, 1.5D. It gets a little trickier when you do perpendicular to grain. You have a bunch of other scenarios, but it's very similar. You have your L over D criteria. You have to find that, and that will spit out a value. 1.5D is 1.5 inches. What do we have between rows? I will go yellow highlighter. We have 4 inches between our rows. Because remember, if I go black right here, that's a row in dashed black, and that's a row in dashed black. 4 inches, that's well over 1.5, so that's 1.0 also. You are done determining all of your conditions for your bolted connection. And unfortunately, you take a big whack for your end distance of your connection. So you are forced to have to slap on, keep scrolling up, a C sub delta of 0.57, ouch. So your capacity gets hit, it basically gets cut in half. All right, team, don't mind the new wardrobe. I'm calling this an intermission. This video is just getting a little too long. Part 2 is coming literally like tomorrow. So click the thumbnail up above right there. If I've already posted it, you'll see it, it's right there. We get into the Z values, we finish off this problem strong, and then actually I'm gonna be introducing a part 3. So keep your eyes peeled for that, where we get into some additional non-mandatory checks that are really, really great for all of you to know. Like, subscribe, do all the things to help us grow. If you like structural engineering, I'd love to see you in here again.